The man who murdered Constable Matthew Hunt has now been found guilty of the attempted murder of his partner that day.
A jury today delivered its verdict on Eli Epiha's trial over the shooting of Constable David Goldfinch in West Auckland last year. Alice Wilkins is with us now from the High Court at Auckland. And Alice, Epiha had already admitted Constable Hunt's murder, and his family has sat through every day of this trial.
Yes, and they waited 11 and a half hours today to hear that verdict. Constable Matthew Hunt's mum, Diane, saying afterwards that she hopes no police family ever has to go through what they have. When Eli Epiha's trial began, he'd already pleaded guilty to the murder of a police officer. Today, a jury found he had attempted to kill another that day, Constable David Goldfinch, who survived.
Do 11 of you find the defendant, Eli Bob Sauni Epiha, guilty or not guilty of charge 1, the charge of attempted murder?
Guilty.
Just days before his trial was due to begin, 25-year-old Epiha admitted Constable Matthew Hunt's murder.
Do you plead guilty or not guilty to the charge of murder?
Guilty. Today, after the jury returned its verdict, Constable Matthew Hunt's mum, Diane, spoke about the early guilty plea for the first time.
The past 2+ weeks have been harrowing for all of us. Listening to what happened to Matthew and Dave in such raw detail on Friday, the 19th of June 2020, can't be described in words.
Matt Hunt, a 28-year-old criminology graduate whose dream job was serving as an officer, was shot and killed by Epiha while carrying out routine road policing in Massey last June.
Contact priority, we're being shot at. IBT to we're being shot at.
His death sparked an outpouring of grief from the public and police across the country. His funeral attended by hundreds of his family in blue. But Epiha denied the attempted murder of Hunt's colleague, Constable Goldfinch, who he shot at 10 times and wounded with 4 bullets.
I've been shot. I'm bleeding a bit out of my leg.
During the trial, Goldfinch recounted that day in court.
Just that flash, like, this is where I die. And I put up my hands again and just went, just f***ing stop. Just walk away. I won't arrest you.
Eli Epiha gave evidence in his own defence with another version of events.
He was just getting too close and yelling at me, drop the gun. So I gave him a warning shot. If I wanted to kill him, I would have killed him straight away. I've already pled guilty to the unintentional murder of Officer Hunt, and I'm very, very sorry to his family.
Natalie Bracken helped Epiha flee the scene. The jury found the 31-year-old guilty of being an accessory after the fact of wounding with intent to cause grievous bodily harm. Eli Epiha also made an early guilty plea to a charge of dangerous driving causing injury to a member of the public who was hurt when Epiha crashed into his car on Rainella Drive. But it was his actions immediately after that crash, when he took an AK-47 style rifle and aimed at 2 policemen, that caused the most harm.
This Friday will mark Matthew's 30th birthday. We miss him terribly. We hope that no other police family will ever have to go through this.
A young officer who was just trying to do his job.
But Alice, it wasn't a unanimous verdict, was it?
No, after almost 9 hours of deliberation, the jury told Justice Venning that they couldn't reach a unanimous verdict. He then encouraged them to work towards a majority, and that is what they eventually returned on Eli Epiha's charge, a majority guilty verdict, 11 jurors to 1. Now, as Eli Epiha left the court, he gave a thumbs down, and a member of the public yelled out, "Love you, Eli." Both he and Natalie Bracken will be sentenced in October.